Get ready for an emotional journey with White Bird, a powerful new chapter from the world of wonder. We're excited to bring you an exclusive sneak peek, an interview with Helen Mirren, who stars in this moving story of bravery and kindness in White Bird. Julian, played by Bryce Gaysar, struggles after being expelled for bullying Augie Pullman. His life shifts when his grandmother, played by the legendary Helen Mirren, shares her harrowing escape from Nazi-occupied France in World War II. Directed by Marc Forster, Finding Neverland, this film is a heartfelt reminder to choose courage and compassion. Mark your calendars for October 4th, 2024, when White Bird hits theaters. Enjoy this exclusive movie clip and short interview now on Celebrity Spotlight Radio.
Well, I was born after the end of the Second World War, but I grew up in post-war Britain, and so the stories and the reality of what happened during the Second World War was very much a part of my youthful education, if you like. And I've always felt very strongly it was such an unbelievably traumatic event for the world, for Europe in particular, but all over the world, obviously for many nations, lost millions and millions of people. The Holocaust was one of the most monstrous occurrences in human history. I felt it. I still feel it's so important that we don't forget about it, and that the young are not taught about it, but should be aware of it, and aware of the kind of sacrifices that people made, the kind of tragedy that people confronted, the kind of cruelty, where when you perpetuate racism of any kind, the end of that road is what happened in the Second World War. So I just feel very strongly that we have to keep it alive in our mind. Julian plays my grandson, and he's a young teenager, and as many young teenagers do, he's going through a difficult time when he can't quite find his place in the world, and he's lashing out as a reaction to that. Grand-mère, who has his grandmother, who has had this extraordinary history in her life of what happened to her when she was his age, is trying to make him understand that the world is, of course, is a complicated place with darkness, but as Martin Luther King says, you have to find the light within yourself. Darkness will never drive out darkness. So, that is the lesson that she is trying to teach him, simply through telling him her life story. I mean, Julian obviously has a lesson to learn. Hopefully, in the audience, there'll be a lot of other kids thinking about their own behavior, their own actions, their own, cruelty, maybe, that they have participated in, and realize how terribly, terribly wrong it is, and how the end of that journey can, it can be so devastating, so extreme. So I do hope that this is a lesson that people will learn, and also the lesson of great courage, the great courage of the families who hid people. I was reading fairly recently, it was just after I'd sort of committed to doing this film, and I happened to read an article about a whole village, a French village. The whole village had hidden people. Every single person in that village had hidden people, whether they were escaping, pilots or airmen who'd fallen into France, or Jewish people. But the whole village were involved in hiding people, and the incredible courage that needed, because they would have been executed, every one of them, if this had been found out. That's a courage that it's very hard to comprehend nowadays, isn't it, as we get further and further away from it. So yes, to learn about courage and and to learn about kindness. Well, I play the, she's called grand-mère, grandmother. I think it's the first time in my life I've ever played a grandmother. So, all good things to come to people who wait, you know. But she's a wonderful person who's become a very successful artist. She, of course, is the younger Sarah is the protagonist of the movie. The movie is about her, but we see her as well as seeing her as a young person. We see her now towards the end of her life. Again, that's something that we all, especially when we're young, and we all do it, you know, we kind of forget that older people have been young once and have had experiences in a different way at a different time, but similar experiences to the ones that we are having as young people. You know, it's in the nature of youth to say, it's my turn now. Now I take the world. You know, you're letting go of the world. I'm taking hold of the world, and that's a very natural thing to do, but it's good to be reminded that older people do have a history, were young once, and sometimes went through exactly what you're going through, sometimes went through something completely different. Obviously, for any performance, the look is very, very important, to find the right look. So we were lucky. I think we got the look very quickly, and that was very important. Sometimes you can't quite find it, and even when you start shooting, you haven't really found it. But with this one, we found it very quickly, and Marc is very sensitive, very observant, and I feel, if he says, yes, that's right, I feel he you know, he knows what he's talking about, and if he said, I think we need to work on this or that, so I get the sense that he would be right about that. So it's great to be in the hands of someone that you respect on that level, that you absolutely can, you know, take their guidance. Julian, you did not leave your old school. You were expelled for being cruel to another boy.
Whatever, you know what I mean. If I learn anything from back then, it's to just mind my own business. Don't be mean, don't be nice, just be normal.
And this is what you've learned? To be normal?
What's wrong with normal?
Nothing. And everything. I, too, wanted to be normal when I was your age, but...
But what?
I'm sure your father has told you stories about what happened to me when I was a young girl.
Some. He says you don't really like to talk about it.
I don't. But now, I think, for your sake, I must.